Back, Jim Calhoun, Al Michaels among our guests later on this Thursday, tomorrow, Football Friday, with all the trimmings as we head towards a big weekend. And, decent game tonight. I don't see the Titans winning in Pittsburgh. We'll see. But if the Steelers can shut down their running game of Tennessee, they win and win going away. So that's obviously going to be the key to the game. It's a very easy one to figure out. James in Queens starts us off. What's up, James?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
What's happening?
Yes. Yeah, nothing much. Just wanted to comment. Love the show yesterday, especially the Terry Collins, interview. I thought that was great. Terry was a good manager.
He was good. He's a good guy too. A really good guy.
Yeah, seemed like a really good guy. But also it's kind of bittersweet because now who's replacing you. It's kind of in print. You kind of see the finish line, and it's sad, for me because I guess I'm just trying to compare it to this, and maybe you can comment because you were around for that generation. At least for a sports fan, it's almost like we're losing, like Walter Cronkite. You probably say
when people bring up Walter Cronkite or Johnny Carson, that's a little out of my league, to be honest with you.
I know, but Mike, the reason is because of the tough stories. I'm just trying to figure out, when that next big scandal is, or that, maybe when the Knicks rise and we're finally a contender, or the crazy thing that happened in the game. Where are we going to get?
Here's what I learned watching that, being a student of those years, though. Okay, in all honesty, okay, and I'm very proud of what I've accomplished, and very prideful about what I've accomplished. But I saw them replace Johnny Carson. I saw them replace Walter Cronkite. I saw them replace Howard Cosell. You know what? I learned a long time ago. Everybody's replaceable. I saw them replace Don Imus. All right, you know what? They'll replace me too. And everybody, no matter how successful someone is, everybody's replaceable. You know what? That's just the way it is. That's the way life works. Life keeps moving. And that's the way it's supposed to work. I mean, that is it. These jobs are not permanent. And here's what I'm most proud of, and what Dog should be most proud of. We turned this real estate afternoon drive at WFAN into a very special piece of property. It is a revered spot now, and hopefully it'll remain that for a very long time, but it's a very coveted spot. It is without question, the centerpiece of the city is this job. And it comes with responsibility. It comes with a lot of attention. That's part of it. That is part of it. And, it's been a very special job. Now they're going to change it a little bit. They're going to cut it back. Their plan was that no one was going to have a show as long as either Dog did or I have. I mean, I've had a show that's the longest show in the country for any host, and I'm on it by myself for 5.5 hours. There's nobody does 5.5 hours, except somebody who might be working overnight somewhere. In the daytime, there's nobody in America works 5.5 hours except me. So that's highly unusual, and they didn't want to have it happen again. And so, we're talking about a show that's now going to be 4 hours. Remember, the Yankees are going to start their games at 6:30 in April. So the pregame will start before 6. So the show won't even be 4 hours in that time period in April when the Yankees are home. And even the rest of the time, the show, where the pregame show is going to be, basically a 4-hour show a lot of times. And, and basically that's it. And a little more. There'll be days where it goes 6:30, days that it won't. So, but it's a different show. It'll start at 2 and end at 6:30, depending on the day. Tim in Milford, what's up, Tim?
Yeah, Mike, great show last night. I listened to the whole thing on the radio. It's fantastic. Now, I'm one of those guys that grew up in the backseat of my dad's car, too, listening to you guys since day one.
Yep.
Which absolutely brings me to my point, and you just touched on it a little bit. You are probably could be replaced, but, I mean, you would be replaced by guys like Bill Simmons or Mad Dog again, or maybe a Cowherd, somebody like that. Can you explain to me how WFAN management, they're doing a disservice to their listeners by coming up with Bart Scott, Chris Carlin, and Matt.
Listen, that is
hard.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and comment on it. It doesn't serve anybody good for me to sit here and analyze the next show. I wasn't going to do it. I've been here 30 years. Dog and I were here 20. I've been here another 10. All right, we've been here a long time. Between the two of us and then me, we have covered this spot for 30 years. People have gotten very used to both of us and very used to me. And obviously, that's how they see it. and they don't want to see anybody else in the time period. I understand that. But whoever it was, and unless Dog came back and did the show, there was going to be a reaction, no matter who it was. So, again, is it a show anyone was expecting? Probably not. But like I said, unless Dog had come back to do the show himself, you would have had people who were saying, oh, I'm not happy with the show. So all you can do is just let it happen. That's all. And I'm not going to sit here and analyze it because there's nothing to be gained from me doing that. I mean, because if I did it, some people would say, oh, you see, if I said something, they'd say, oh, you're just saying that. If I said something else, they'd say, oh, you're just saying that. So there's nothing that anyone is going to take. And really, I only know the names. They haven't done a show yet. So you're not reacting to a show because there hasn't been one yet. You're only reacting to names. And I have to tell you, I can tell you right now, all three of those people, including any one of them, I have not heard any one of them do a show. Two of them I've never heard do a show at all. One I haven't heard. I don't remember ever hearing any of them do a radio show. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard any of them do a radio show. So, I mean, all you're going on is names. At least all I be going on is names. John in Paramus. What's up, John?
After last night, the reality of you leaving is really set in.
Yeah, because they have a show name now. So, yes, I told you, I feel like the president after Election Day where the next guy's, ready to move into the office, yeah.
But you'll never be a lame duck, my friend. You'll never be a lame
you.
duck.
That's very nice. Thank you.
I'm saving my goodbye call for a couple of weeks.
Right.
But it's easy for Steinbrenner to make this statement now that they didn't.
I was surprised. I really was surprised, that, and I agree with you. It wouldn't have been easy to do. You're dead on, John. It would not have been easy to do. It would have been almost impossible to do. Right now that they didn't win, it's easy to say he wouldn't have brought him back. I still think he would have brought him back anyway. So I agree with you. It's a whole different deal if he had to bring him. If he had to dump a guy winning the World Series, it would have been highly unpopular.
You know what? He would have been crucified in the court of public opinion.
I agree.
And the next season, every single game would be.
I totally listen. You hit it right on the nose. You hit it right on the noggin. You couldn't have been more dead on. You can say you're going to do that. Doing it is a heck of a lot harder. So right now, he didn't win. He didn't get to the World Series. He didn't win the World Series. So to say, oh, even if he won the World Series, he was gone. Hey. That takes a whole different deal. After you've had the parade and after you've had all the champagne and all the things that come with winning the World Series, then you're going to tell me you're going to, during that feel-good spot, you're going to dump your manager? Hey, a lot harder than it sounds. I totally agree with that. Neil in Greenwich. What's up, Neil?
Yeah, hey, Mike. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Hey, listen, I listened to the show last night, and I won't comment at all on the new show, but I wanted to say very quickly, and I'll call again before you leave. I was, and I've listened to you since the days of you and Chris debating Will Clark and Don Mattingly in the late 80s, before the show even started, as a matter of fact.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. What I particularly liked was two things I was saying. One, I particularly liked the ending where you thank Dog and your brother and your wife. I thought that was very heartfelt, and I thought you did a great job with that. So I appreciated. I thought that was all. I would have done the same thing if I was in your position. I thought that was great. And the second thing was, look, I've listened to you for 30 years. I hope you find a spot, that enables you to connect with the audience in a way that you have. Because, a lot of times I disagree with a lot of things you say. A lot of things you say infuriate me. But I tell you, for certain big games and moments, I really want to hear what you have to say. Like the Monday show, for example, or after Yankee playoff games or big football games. I enjoy always your Friday football shows and the Sundays. So,
listen, I will always want to have a show whatever I'm doing where I can react. First of all, I'm a content producer. That's what I do. I produce stuff. So that's I want to do that. I don't know what form it's going to take yet. And I would always, I take more phone calls than anybody. I've always taken more phone calls than anybody because I have a show by myself for 5.5 hours, and I only put marquee guests on, so I don't put a lot of guests on. I put fewer guests on than most people. It's more me. The show is mostly me. That's what it is. So it's a very different thing. So I will definitely, whatever I do, I would want to interact with the crowd. I love doing that. That's part of what this is. That's part of what this is. That's part of this process. It really is. Chris in Hicksville. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Mike. Being a listener since the beginning as well, and also being a Hofstra grad, listening to the show last night was, where has the time gone? It seems like last week you and Chris were doing the show at Hofstra now.
With Jay there last night, okay? With Jay there last night and realizing, because I looked it up. I looked at it before he came on yesterday morning. I said, let me just look at Jay's record so I know. I wanted to count up what he was the last 4 years. And it's amazing. He was 129-17, which is unbelievable. And if you take the 2 games this year, 131-17 in the last 4+ seasons. So that's with a national championship. That's an incredible run. But he was in his 18th year. And I'm like, I'm thinking back to the day Dog and I went to Hofstra. And they went crazy when Dog and I were there. And we were there at 11 o'clock in the morning because the game was on ESPN on a Saturday morning. And we went in there at 9 o'clock, and they had like a student welcoming thing out for us outside the building where they had banners and they had a whole rally for Mike and the Mad Dog outside the building before we even went in the building. So, and the building was overflowing with people. This was the biggest thing to ever hit Hofstra. Not just Dog and I doing the show. Also, the game was nationally televised for Hofstra, and you had Delaware with Mike Bray, and of course with
that big forward
Pegues.
Yeah,
it was his name, and then they had you had Jay, Tom Pecora was on the staff. You had Speedy Claxon, and Hofstra wins the game, goes to the NCAA tournament, and Dog and I did the game, and Dog always did Dog and I did probably 5 or 6 basketball games together, and he always did the play. I never fashioned myself a play-by-play man. Never liked it because I like to look at the game and I like to analyze it while I'm watching it. I don't want to do play. Plus, I don't think I'm a play-by-play man anyway. I never had any aspirations, so I want to be the analyst. So Dog was always the play-by-play man. So he had the harder job because I just had to analyze the action on the. I just had to analyze the action on the court, while Dog had to know the players' names and everything and do that job. So it was he had the harder job, but. We loved doing the games together. We had a big kick out of it because I love analyzing games. I always loved being an analyst, and I had plenty of offers to do that. I just didn't want to travel, and I didn't want to give up doing the fan. I could have done that. I was offered a couple jobs like that. If you go back, Frank Cashin offered me a job in the Met booth in, 1990, 89. Offered me a job. But I didn't want to leave what I was doing every day. I didn't have any interest in doing that. But the thing that was amazing is what you said about time flying. Jay's been in Villanova 18 years. That seems like yesterday we were out there. It is remarkable. I thought of this last night when I'm watching my kids in the stands, and my twins they're going to be 13 in January. Harrison's going to be 11 in 4 days. It seemed like yesterday I was getting a call to run across to the hospital. My wife was, waiting to have the twins, and they wouldn't take them early because they said every day helped because they were early anyway. So she was sitting there. We had thought she'd gone on the labor the night before, so I was there all night. She said, why don't you go do something because I'm still sitting here. So I went over and did the show, and it was Martin Luther King Day. And they called me up around 6:20, like 10 minutes before I'm getting off the air, and said, you got to get back here in a hurry. We're going to start without you. And I'm like, wait a second, you promised me I could. So I ran back across from Astoria right to the New York Presbyterian. And I get there, and they get me a gown, so I can go in and watch the whole thing. And 10 minutes later, 7:23, 7:26, my kids are born. So I was on the air at 6:20, and my daughter was born at 7:23, and my son was born at 7:26. So that's how long it took me to get before wasn't even an hour, and they were born. So, and that's now going to be 13 years ago, which is unbelievable. And I remember going in there And I remember the first time I drove into Astoria to go for an interview. I was thinking about that the other day when we went through Astoria, and I said, I remember coming to this L for the first time and going there for an interview. And now it's 30 years later. It's unbelievable. You know, you wonder where the years go. You really do. And you see people like last night you haven't seen in a while. You know, and you just say it's amazing how fast time goes. And when you get older, it just goes even faster. So it's amazing how quickly you go through this stuff. You know, it used to be when you were in grammar school, it seemed like Friday from Monday to Friday was like forever. But now a month seems like the snap of a finger. It's amazing. It's all relative. Here's the update.